Welcome to another training. We do this every Tuesday at 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, and we go into ways to build your business, whether you are a producer, an agency builder, or straddling both sides of the fence in the financial services agents or industry. We got some great training for you. We always like to review what we did last week. Last week we had a come and go open kind of Q&A meeting. If anybody needed any help, had any questions, needed any clarification on their business. It was a open meeting, not recorded, so that's why there's no review. We're going to get back into the recordings this week, and really what we're talking about this week is online lead generation. Very, very, very important. How to create conversations at scale. Once you do this and once you crack the lead generation formula or equation, algorithm, whatever it is you want to call it, then what you do is you teach other people. And that's how you build distribution. If you fix the typical agency or agent deficiencies, then you can have a free-flowing agency. And that agency will create distribution, leverage, create an asset, create a business that you can step away from. And without your day-to-day involvement, it will still run and run at scale. So we want to reset the mindset. Social media is not, guys, just for posting randomly. It's not for getting in arguments with people about politics or religion. It's none of that. If you want to build a business, then you need to understand that your online presence should be something where somebody goes, they feel confident and motivated to either continue the conversation or take an action step. Also, reset the mindset. You do not need to quote unquote go viral. You can have 800 reactions to a post and generate no revenue on it. You can have far fewer handful of reactions and create revenue from it. Your job is not to go viral. Your job is to create a system that creates conversations. That's all we're looking for. You're in a people business, a relationship business, mastering the art of communication, and then taking that online is really where you're going to get the social media scale. So really what this is about, it's about gaining attention. You're not a secret agent. You need to be seen and you need to be heard. So getting the attention that translate into engagement, that translates into the right conversations and the right conversions. If you do this, two things happen. Number one, you start to build a pipeline. Number two, you get better at what you do. And after a while, you go from learning something to mastering something to then teaching something. That's how you're going to create the freedoms you want on the backside, is to get your agency in a place where you can do all of this and then you can teach other people to do it. Content, guys, contrary to popular belief, does not make money. Conversations do. So we want to create the content that gets the attention and engagement. From there, we flip it to conversations and conversion. It doesn't mean that you have a pre-hidden agenda with every conversation. You need to close this person. We are sorting people. And once you do that, you quit placing so much value on a lead, understanding that leads are just part of the process. So outcome of today's training, I want you guys leaving this training knowing where to find people online, how to position on each platform, what to say to generate responses, and then how to turn engagement, which is a really the key kind of flip, how to turn the engagement into clients and partners. So these are the categories of the platforms. This is the online landscape, and you can have a online landscape that is very flush and active, or dry and non-existent. So we want to talk about how do we get on the right side of the online landscape. Well, first of all, the online landscape is, there's different types of sites, different types of platforms. You don't have to be good at all of them. You don't have to use all of them. You just need to find some, one, two, or three that you really like, that you'll study, that you don't mind going on and engaging with people, and then go and run with it. Like I said, you don't have to know all of this. You can be a jack of all trades, master of nothing, so to speak, or you can really hone in on one or two of these platforms and really get good at it. So the social media platforms, you guys understand what those are. It's like Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok. TikTok used to be a bunch of 12 and 13-year-old girls. It's like evolved to the point where businesses are on there. So all of these social media platforms, they have different algorithms. They have different types of audiences that you can segment. You just need to realize, hey, I'm comfortable in this platform. I understand this platform. I want to learn more about it. If you hate TikTok and you don't even have a TikTok account, I wouldn't recommend trying to master TikTok over the next few weeks. It's what you already have in place. Get better, and then, like I said, master it before you move on. And then you have also the community based, which is, LinkedIn, industry groups, business communities. You have Facebook groups. Guys, platforms like Reddit and discussion threads are really, really good for both organic lead generation and paid lead generation. Why is this? Because somebody's actually going on to a platform like Reddit and asking a question and getting responses. Not only does the original person who asked the question, but everybody in those threads gets your answer. So it's a great time to go in, controversial subjects, people discussing platforms, people discussing industries, people discussing products, whatever it might be. Great place to go out and start partner and client conversations. And then content platforms like YouTube, whether it's short form video, real shorts, any of this stuff, if you put some effort into learning, not only your persona, but the content that resonates with that persona, and then back it up with, follow-up messages, all the things that you need to do to be organized with a CRM, with a follow-up to get these people from online to the conversation to the conversion. Now, what's the conversion? The conversion is converting them to an outcome. And does not necessarily have to be some grand outcome. It just means that you're going through the process and you're not just leaving them out there, which is like unresolved. If you create enough leads and resolve enough leads, you will have production, you will have overrides, spreads as an agency builder, you will build equity. Everything that you want is just in learning these small equations of how to take attention, engagement into conversations and conversion. Every platform has attention. There are people going every day to these platforms. Your job is to turn the attention into a conversation. So who are you targeting online? Well, it depends on what you're trying to build your business around. We all have different personas. We all have different ways that we're building our business. That's the great thing about this business is that you can be an agent that goes after a specific persona and does that time and time and time again. And then from the natural build out of your agency, you'll get diversification, different types of people, different types of markets. But you really need to hone in on who you're trying to reach, understand them, study them, know them really better than themselves. And then once you understand who they are, and then you develop what you're going to say to them to create that yes formula that has them raising their hand. Yeah, I want more information. And then the final step is just to understand where they are. Where are these people, online, offline, and go out and target them with the appropriate content that creates the engagement. Then you move it to conversions or conversations and conversions. So client personas, family focused homeowner, debt stressed professional, pre-retiree. We talk about the personas before. That's not really what this training is about. Once you have your persona, and on the partner personas, real estate agents, entrepreneurs, side hustles, business owners, insurance agents, whatever it is, you have your persona on the client and partner side. The rule for online lead generation is you're not posting for everyone. Just like if you ran some type of an advertisement, it would be in some type of a magazine that this person, your persona reads, right? You're going to get in front of that person at the right time with the right type of message. Same thing here. Blanketed content, blanketed posts, blanketed approaches do not work. You're just throwing it out there, hoping and praying. Just like we tell our clients, hoping and praying is not a plan of action. That's just basically a wish, right? Post for one specific person at a time. It doesn't mean that you have to continuously always do the same thing, but post with a person in mind, a persona, and a goal. What are you trying to get from here? What is the call to action? What do you want that person to do outside of having good content that relates to that person? Tell them exactly what you want them to do. So platform breakdown and strategy. What are we actually doing here? Facebook, where to operate? Well, you have your personal profile. It can be, something that can create leads for you. You have local groups. You also have niche groups like parenting, finance. I'm a Duke basketball fan. I'm in Duke basketball groups. So understand that Facebook is general interest, and a lot of people are just what we call dumb scrolling. But you can also get in several groups and several different types of groups that get in front of people that are like-minded, that, whatever it is that you're trying to go after, parenting, finance, all these are good examples. So Facebook, I think people get stuck on two things, their personal profile and their business page. If you have 10 people that like your business page and you post something on your business page, who's going to see that? No one. So understand what you're doing and the actual realistic ramifications of what's going on. Best practices here, remember, general interest. You're going to be story-based posts. Facts tell, stories sell, especially on a platform like Facebook. You need to have relatable financial insights, and then you need to have comment engagement. Remember, if somebody comments on your post and you do nothing, you don't like it, you don't comment back, that would be the same as having a cocktail party. Someone come up, try to start a conversation with you, and you turn your back on them. So engagement is part of the process. So if somebody's engaging with you, return it, because that's going to keep the conversation going, and it's going to probably get more eyes on the content. Lead strategy here is whatever your post, gain comments, and then take that to the DM conversation. Direct messages first, and then move them into your CRM, into a pipeline with appropriate follow-ups. Everything that you're doing on here is to generate. And then what do you generate? You're generating leads that are going into your CRM so you can appropriately tag them, put them in pipelines, and communicate with them. LinkedIn. So you have your LinkedIn feed. You also have your direct connections. You also have messaging. Remember, Facebook has reached scale. What does that mean? Well, that means you got to pay to get eyes on your content. LinkedIn is a little bit different. It hasn't reached scale. When it reaches scale, to do the exact same thing as Facebook. But up until then, what does that mean? That means there's far more eyes on the platform than there is content. So if you create content, LinkedIn will reward you for that. And sometimes if it's good content, it can stay on for weeks or months. Best practices here is remember, this is a business platform. Yes, there's a lot of religious talk and a lot of political talk. You want to cut through all that BS and understand you want to get in front of people with professional pain points, income efficiency conversations, and short, punchy posts. If you write some long post, who's going to read it? Absolutely no one. People have very short attention spans. You got to get in front of them, kind of smack them across the face, so to speak, with your post, short, punchy post, and then insert a call to action. Learn more, whatever it is. We're going to go through that in just a minute. But your lead strategy here is connect, engage, and message. Remember, if it's a business platform and you're talking business, somebody on a business platform should be expecting to talk about business. This is also in the connections. You can segment who is my best client, who's my best partner. Let me go out and find those people, connect with them directly. Now I can message them. In the groups, like we talked about, if you have very few LinkedIn connections, you can go into certain groups. And if somebody's a second or third connection, you can message them directly through the group because you're both members of the same group. So different platforms, different algorithms, different approaches, but it all can be very valuable real estate for you. Instagram. Remember, Instagram is just about really the feed, the stories, and the reels. It's more of a visual platform. So what are you doing here? It's best practices are like lifestyle and identity content, short form education. Nothing is long on any of these platforms. And visual storytelling. Most of the time in all of your content, the image gets probably 90% of the view. And then whatever's your big lettering. So there's a scientific method and approach to doing this. And we've posted that before. If you guys need that, let me know. But this is all really about just catching someone eye visually and then moving them to conversations. You can tell how all of this stuff is designed to catch someone's attention, send them to a call to action to open a conversation. And then you have, Reels, TikTok, Shorts, all of these content platforms like YouTube. So best practice here is look at this, guys. If you don't hook in the first 3 seconds, you're gone. It's a split second, split 3 seconds here to catch someone's attention with a hook. One clear idea, not jumbled with a bunch of stuff, and curiosity driven. Remember, you're just trying to get general curiosity enough for them to take some type of action step, raise their hand, comment, whatever it is that you're telling them to do. Examples of the hook here. Most people don't realize ... whatever. This is why you feel stuck financially. So remember, short, to the point, hook them in instantly, and then get them to a call to action. The strategy here is content and then DM replies, and then you move them on. Remember, so all of these things have a similar pattern to getting recognized, getting the engagement, getting the attention, starting the conversation, and then moving them to somewhere where you can monitor them like your CRM. Alignable. Remember, Alignable's got two things. You guys can meet up. You've also got connections there. So just like every other platform, you have a feed, you have your connections that you're making, you have your messages, and you have local networking groups. If you guys do this correctly with the right hashtags, the algorithm will start to learn and place you in the right people. If you do it wrong, it will place you in the with the wrong people. So understand a lot of this setup, a lot of what we're asking you guys to do. If it's done correctly, you'll get the reward. If it's done incorrectly, you'll work really hard, but you'll be in front of the wrong people all the time. Best practices here: value-based business conversations, local relationship building, partnership focused outreach, and consistent engagement. Likes, comments, congrats. Remember, business owners run with business owners, entrepreneurs run with entrepreneurs, doctors run with doctors. So, whoever your persona is, understand if you do a good job in front of that persona, they probably have more of that persona behind them. Where if you get in front of them in the right moment, who else do you know and care about that needs access to this information? You convey it. If you don't ask for referrals, you never get referrals, and you are leaving a lot of money on the table. Same thing. If you get down to the point you don't ask for the sale, you're doing yourself a disservice. If you're not asking for the referral, you're doing yourself a disservice. Lead strategy here: connect, engage, conversation, partnership, client opportunity, whatever it is. It's about networking. If you give me the opportunity, I will pick networking over direct marketing every single time, because you can build a lot of interest in what you're doing by showing interest in other people, learning about their business, learning about them, inserting yourself in the conversation at the right time with the right information that can help them based on what they're telling you. Classified platforms, guys, don't forget, classifieds are still around. They can be a great place to go out. Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, Nextdoor. There are a ton of these. Just like the discussion threads like Reddit, you need to do some investigation, a little research on what's available, what to do, and how to get in front of people on those platforms. Where to operate: housing sections, service sections, job sections, personal and gig section. Best practices here: post clear, helpful ads, reply to wanted ads if it fits into what you're trying to do, offer solutions and comments, follow up quickly. Be seen, be heard, get attention, get engagement, move them to conversations and conversion. Strategy, post, reply, message, conversation. All of this, even though they're different ways, different platforms, different algorithms, we're essentially all doing the same thing, which is creating communication and conversation no matter where we are. So, the discussion threads, the online platforms like Facebook groups, Reddit style threads, community discussions, people are asking questions, people are getting replies. Some of them are good, some of them are terrible. Insert yourself into the conversation with meaningful, value-based propositions, answers to the questions, whatever it might be, and watch what happens. Best practices here is you've got to add value first. Answer the questions. Be seen not as a salesperson, a recruiter, a pitcher. Be seen as a resource. And if you do that, people will start to flock to you, and that's a good problem to have. Lead strategy here is comment, engagement, direct message. It's not too difficult as far as the equation of what we're doing. It's just different platforms with different algorithms and approaches. All right, let's move on here. Talk about messaging that actually converts online. Remember, it's not long, it's not drawn out, it's not pitchy. It's got to be right down to the point. So what doesn't work and what does work? Well, what doesn't work is exactly what I just said. If you're pitching people online, you're explaining products, or you're creating long posts that somebody reads the first 3 sentences and then quits. Remember, people are not going to read long posts. People don't want to learn about products, and people don't want to be pitched. They don't want to be sold. They love to buy. So if you do things correctly and create a buying decision, creates longer retention, more reviews, more referrals, everything else that you're looking for. What does work? Value-based propositions. Add value first. Answer questions in a clear, concise, articulate way that makes sense to the question they're answering or they're asking. And then be seen as a resource. If you're seen as a resource, what will happen is all of a sudden things will be popping up. People will be asking questions. People getting your emails. People getting your DMs. And these are all conversations that you can just sort out. Hey, this person has a problem. They have the resources to be helped, and they want to help. This person has the problem, but they don't want to be helped or don't have the resources. You can see how you're just sorting once you have enough leads coming in. Lead strategy here is comment, curiosity, call to action. Examples here. Remember the family persona. Most homeowners don't realize how exposed they are financially. The debt persona. Crazy how people can make really good money and still feel stuck. That's a big problem in today's society, guys. People make decent money, but they're just spinning their wheels. Those are great people to get in front of and teach, solution strategies and systems on how to beat the banks, get ahead, win the money game, improve cash flow efficiency, whatever it might be. And then the retirement persona. The biggest risk in the retirement isn't the market. So these are all things where you are, you know, posing questions that are relevant to that particular persona, and then you're placing yourself in a position of power as a resource, someone they can go for information and education. Call to action examples. Learn more is a great one. We use that, but curious, want info, message me. The rule here is create the curiosity. Don't force the information. Kind of hold the information kind of back and only give it to the people that have shown curiosity and taken the call to action. Turning engagement into conversations. This is where the rubber meets the road, so to speak. So the real goal here is not like most people think. Most people think I got to get a ton of likes, I got to get a ton of views. Not really. It's not the likes, it's not the views, it's the conversations that you yield from these posts. The process here is someone engages you, likes, comments, views. You acknowledge. That's one of the most important things. You move them to a DM and you start a conversation. You teach this to yourself, become good at it, and then teach other people. Notice that there's no long scripts here. There's no secret ways to force somebody into becoming a client or a partner. This is all how you do it and how you do it to gain retention and how you gain retention of clients, partners, and how you grow this to a foundational point, and then you jump off of that for scaling. Example here. Hey, saw you like my post. Curious. What stood out to you? That's a binary question, right? That demands some type of an answer from the other side. You are asking a question, demanding an answer. Now, is everybody going to answer you? No. But most people, if you ask a question, they will answer you. Maybe not immediately, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, depending on what platform, sometime on LinkedIn, maybe not for a couple of weeks, but most people will answer you. All right, so daily execution system. What do we need to do to get this up off the ground and actually get some value from being online and having an online presence, building a brand online? Well, the minimum standard is 1 to 3 posts. That's not on the same platform. That's just on a couple, whatever you're using, make sure you're active. 5 to 10 new conversations, 5 follow-ups. If you post and it doesn't yield conversations, it can't yield follow-up. So this is how you build a pipeline. If you do these things over the coming weeks, over the next few months, what you're going to see is your CRM is going to be filled up. And if you tag these people appropriately, you create the pipelines, you understand where they are, add the automation, add the manual nudges when appropriate, and you have different peoples and different cycles of communication creating different outcomes. The weekly targets, it's all about conversations started, appointments set, new partners introduced, our clients, whatever it might be. If the daily doesn't start yielding the weekly, there's some problem with the conversion, and we can help with that. Also, if you're not doing stuff, if you're putting stuff on our calendars, remember the marketer, the manager, and the consultant all work together. If your job is to market, create the leads, put them on somebody else's calendar, we'll help close them. Tracking here is how many messages did I send? How many replies did I get? How many calls did I book? So you can segment all this and break this down and know exactly where things are kind of getting held up. If you're sending the messages, getting the replies, but getting few calls booked, there's a problem there. We can dissect that part of the equation, figure out what's happening, what's going wrong, and we can fix it for you. Once you have a free-flowing system, special things start to happen with your business. Common mistakes we want to avoid. So posting with no strategy, what does that mean? Well, there's no call to action. If you want somebody to go open the front door and you don't tell them to do that, what's the probability they're going to do that? Probably 0, right? So you have to have a call to action. Talking too much is a big problem. Not following up is one of the biggest agency deficiencies in our entire industry. Follow-up will separate a $50,000 earner from a $500,000 earner. I know that sounds wild, but it is very, very, very true. And then trying to be perfect. Trying to be perfect is just a veiled way to procrastinate and just, taking the action step. Jump in, fix things from committing mistakes. Mistakes are just stepping stones to success. Make enough mistakes, you're going to fix them, you'll find the success. Weekly targets, conversations started, appointments set, new partners introduced, new clients on the books, whatever it might be. If you're not starting conversations, you're not generating leads. If there's nothing coming in at the top of the funnel, nothing can come out of the bottom of the funnel as far as outcomes. Also, connecting online lead generation to the model. Remember, the online lead generation is just to create leads. The flow reminder, remember, it's the content, the conversation, the diagnosis, the solution, and the client. Remember, it's opening, continuing, and directing conversations. When you continue that conversation, it's all about getting a surface level problem, digging into it deeper. We had some training on that, but you need to understand the flow so you can attach the flow to your social media equation and get everything, flowing correctly. Social media, guys, is just the entry point. The model does the conversion. That's extremely important for you to understand. Social media is just the conversation opener. It's the entry point. Sticking them into the model, understanding everything that we do, how you do it, why you do it, when you do it. That's the model. That's what's going to convert. If you're not starting conversations, once again, you are not generating leads. All right, let's finish this up with a close and an action plan. What do we need to do coming out of this? Well, I've got a 7-day challenge for you. Pick 1 or 2 platforms that you're already on, that you have an identity or presence on. Choose one persona, client persona, partner persona, post daily to that persona, and then get in the habit of starting the conversations. How do you start the conversations? Well, you reverse engineer that. You got to have the persona, the content, the call to action. Everything can be reverse engineered to understand exactly what you're doing wrong. You fix that block, you go to the next block. Once all the blocks are fixed, you have a free-flowing system. Remember, you don't need a ton of followers. You don't necessarily need more followers. You just need more conversations with the right people. If you just have a ton of connections, but they're the wrong connections, nothing's going to happen. If you have far fewer connections, but they're the right connections, you can get in front of those people with the right content, the right call to action to get the wheels turning. All right, let's go through just a quick 7-day kind of calendar. So day 1, what are we doing? We're going to create awareness, the problem identification. The goal here is to get attention and relatability. Post idea. Crazy how people can make good money, still feel like they're not getting ahead. The angle options is the debt stress professional, our family cash flow stress. If people are making a lot of money, guys, but they feel like there's nothing left at the end of the month, those are perfect type of people for us. And we can probably get multiple ways that we can help them, which is multiple points of monetization for you within the model. Call to action. Anyone else feel this? Remember, simple to the point. You want people raising their hand. DM follow-up. Curious, what part of that hit for you? Day 2. Education. We're going to shift the thinking. The goal is introduce new perspective. Post idea. Most people aren't broke because they don't make enough. They're broke because their money isn't working efficiently. Call to action. Well, let me show you what I mean. DM follow-up. Happy to break it down simply. Want me to send it over. Day 3. We're going into the personal story. This is connection, right? We're building trust is the goal. Post idea, short story about a client situation, your own realization, a before, after transformation, call to action. This changed how I look at money completely. Curious if anyone else has thought about this. Day 4. Now we go into the problem agitation, making it real. We're increasing the urgency. Post idea. Most homeowners don't realize their mortgage become a financial burden overnight if something unexpected happens. Call to action. Has anyone ever thought about this? DM follow-up. Not something most people think about. Want me to show you how to protect against it. Remember, it's not about the risk of something happening when you're talking about just plain insurance protection. It's about the consequence of if something does happen and not having the hedges in place. Day 5, opportunity. Solution intro without pitching. The goal is just to open a loop. Hey, there's a way to eliminate debt faster and build wealth at the same time. Most people have not seen it. Call to action. Want info. Short, to the point, calls to action, moving from the content to the conversation. Day 6, social proof, social results. Credibility is the goal here. Had a conversation with someone today who realized they could save years on their debt and redirect that money into assets. Call to action. These conversations are happening every day. Curious if it would apply to you? And then day 7, let's shore it up with a direct call to action, a conversation push. Drive the action is the goal here. Post idea. I'm opening a few spots this week to show people how to improve cash flow, eliminate debt faster, start building real assets. No pressure, just education. The call to action, Message me info if you want it. So you can see how following a plan of action, doing the things that you need to do every day will create the type of, like I said, attention, engagement, connections, conversations, conversions. That is all you're looking for.